When you have a knee injury, it's easy to get to the point where you don't even exercise anymore. After my knee injury, I probably gained about 4 stone. I went from being this really, really skinny guy to being this overweight guy that doesn't see any of his friends, that doesn't play football anymore. Like, I completely really lost my identity. And we know that your mental health really comes down to exercise and social circle, and then how much you're progressing in life. So if you have a knee injury and you feel like before you were playing football, seeing your mates, and you were in a good fitness routine, this kind of stuff, and then it gets taken away from you because of knee injury, it's going to be a bad time. So today I want to talk about some ways of training that we can actually do to not only decrease weight, but to make our brain feel better, to train around our knee injury, rather than just avoid training altogether, because that's kind of what I did. And I lost my mental health because of it. I got into severe bouts of depression. I lost my social circle, and it wasn't a good time. So one you can see me doing right now is rope flow. So when we have a knee injury, we can't really do the sport that we love. We can't do the things that we love to a certain extent. If we try and up our step count, our knee can start to hurt as well. So there's a bunch of things, and I'll get onto that as well, how we can start to do steps while actually healing our knee at the same time. But rope flow has been something awesome, which I've found, which you don't even have to move. Simplest thing is just going side to side. This is cardio at the same time as training the rotation of our spine, of training our brain. It's a skill, really, and you can learn it, and you don't even have to move. All you have to do is stand here. Or you can even, you can't really sit down because you need a bit of space. But this is using your upper body, and it's using your brain. The body loves infinity patterns. If we look at the way we run, if we look at the way the spine moves, right now I'm moving in infinity. If you look at my hands, infinity, infinity, infinity. And that's kind of what this rope does. So you can do 15, 30 minutes of rope training a day. That's going to get your cardio in, it's going to get your body moving, it's going to get your brain moving, and it's going to help you feel a lot better. There's things we can definitely do that don't need our lower legs, that need our knees in the way that something like football does. There's other ways that we can help our brain. The second thing is that, obviously, I want to talk about with the cardio, like if we lose weight there, it's amazing for our actual knees, because the more weight that we have on our upper body, 4 times of that is going to go into our knee when it's bending, when it's running, when it's actually being used. So if, for example, when I put on 4 stone, that 4 stone was actually 16 stone, 4 times the amount of force into my knee when running, when bending. So as my weight went up, I was also getting more and more painful actually in my knees. So that's obviously good for the cardio, and that can help you start burning some more calories, lose some weight with the rope, and it's just a lot of fun. Like, these skills are a really fun way of training. Like, it doesn't all have to just be strength. Nowadays, I don't know why I'm not doing the rope now if I'm moving my arms like this. We'll go on to the next ones in a sec. But nowadays, we're so obsessed with aesthetics, with looking good with our strength training, that we actually forget that it's more fun to do skills. Like, when you were a kid, what did you used to do? If you give your baby a ball, if you give your kid a ball, they'll start playing with it. I remember I used to play all kinds of sports. Cricket, tennis. I used to just make games out of stuff. I used to climb. I used to just use my imagination, and that's what we can do with these kind of things. We can play around. Obviously, I'm not an expert at the rope right now, but I'm getting better. We can use different patterns. We can have fun with this, and that unlocks different parts of our brains. There was this man I saw on Instagram, he was in the news because he's like 70-something years old, and play is his reason that he says he's so old. He just created his entire house as like a play center, and I'll try and find the video clip if I can. But super good for our brains. So next we'll go into the second skill, since we're talking about skills. Second skill that I'm going to talk about is juggling, and you might think that's super weird, like I'm not a clown, but it's super fun. Like, you can just do 2 to start with. You can just get used to it. Get used to throwing balls around, maybe do some follows, but you can build up to the point where you got 3 ball, 4 ball, 5 ball, 6 ball. Juggling actually increases neuroplasticity inside the brain, it increases grey matter inside the brain, and it helps with our connection from our right side to our left side as well. When I first started this, I was really, really bad. My left side, like my left arm, couldn't really throw. And it was just, yeah, all kinds of bad things. And our right brain is actually our more creative brain. So when we grow up in school, they put us into the logical side of our brain, which is our left. They don't really get us to think about using our creativity. They want to make us think logically when we are actually creative beings, right? And if you look at some of the left-footed players in football, they're always more creative. Lionel Messi, like, so creative. You think about Lionel Messi versus Ronaldo, like, Ronaldo's creative to a certain extent, but Lionel Messi is like, it's beautiful when you watch him play. When you see these left-footed players, look at Bernardo Silva, for example, as well, like, so beautiful to play. David Silva, since we're talking about Man City, back in the day, he was a beautiful player. Whereas if you think about right-footed players, they're still amazing, they're good, but they're more, like, they're less creative than the left-footed players are. So this can help with that creativity, can help stimulate our brain. And again, it's cardio, it's doing stuff, and it's not going to add any extra pressure to our knees when it comes to this. And then what we'll talk about is the strength training, because obviously we were talking about that before. So a big mistake that I see is because people can't train legs, they'll just like go down the aesthetic route and they'll start developing loads of strength. They'll do bench press, they'll do different kinds of like exercises that are getting us super strong in the upper body, and they put on loads of weight. Ben Patrick did this. I got fat. I didn't train my upper body really, to be honest. I just got fat, so I can't really say that I did that, but I see it a lot on, like, especially athletes, because if you're an athlete, that's your identity. So if you can't play the sport that you love because of your knee pain, then it's like, I have to do something else. And that usually the gym to some extent, but then you're putting so much mass in your upper body, and like I said, that's 4 times extra pressure on your knee when you actually are using it, when you're bending it, when you're running with it. So then you're putting all this mass on the upper body, and it's actually making your knee worse. And I don't want you to like not train your upper body, I don't want you to not look good, but I want you to think about the importance of training upper body. So I would do stuff like relative strength. I'd get people stronger in dips, in pull-ups, and keep our upper body healthy. Those are the 2 most important things. So using relative strength and using a lot of body weight movements, but like body weight, you can add weight with the dips, but that relative strength, because that's not going to add loads and loads of mass, but it is going to keep your tissues healthy. Then the second thing is stuff like external rotations, pullovers, making sure we're super mobile, our shoulders are super healthy, the smaller muscles which we usually forget about, train those as well. But I wouldn't look at putting loads and loads and loads and loads of mass on up top and just getting into this realm of aesthetics when we're talking about the actual health of our knees. Like, it's not necessarily awful, but I like to stay quite lean most of the time. It's going to make us feel better. Our hormones are going to be more in check as males, and you're going to feel better about yourself. Like, when I got fat, like, there's so many things weighing on me. So I had my knee, and then you think about like what obesity does to you in general. It slows down, especially if you're eating junk food and processed food. Like, it's killing your brain. It's making you feel lethargic. Your sleep's going to get worse, and then your dopamine habits are going to be really bad. So then you start going into other stuff like TikTok, like different stuff. So although, like, if you have a knee injury, I know it's easy for me to say because I'm kind of out of it now, but like, I was in it for 5 years, so like, I actually have the license to talk about it. But be strict with yourself still. Don't just think, oh, my knee's gone, so like, I'm just gonna let my entire rest of my life go. Like, keep doing positive things. Keep seeing your mates. Start tracking your calories. Start eating healthier foods. Eliminate processed foods. There's loads of different stuff that you can do, and this is what this video is about, even though you can't train your knee directly. The first 2 points are then rope flow and juggling. So those are upper body skills, and they're really good for you. You burn cardio, it'll keep your brain active, will increase grey matter in your brain, it'll make you feel better. Like, we know that exercise is so important for our brains. And with this juggling thing, like, start doing it with mates. Buy your friend a rope flow and go down the, like, get your mate around your house or go down the park or whatever. Learn rope flow together. Instead of playing football, like, do something new. It's always really, really good to do something new. It's super, super fun. Even though you're bad at it to start with, like, I was super bad at rope flow, I was super bad at juggling. And, like, you pick it up pretty quick. So then those are good ones. The third one is then that how we're training our upper body. Think about more relative strength and think about staying leaner. And then obviously cardio is going to help with that as well. So the fourth thing I want to talk about is then backwards walking, right? And I still do this every morning. It's just so good, like the quad pump you can get. You just start doing some steps backwards, because if you build up those steps forward, it's different muscles that we're using with our knee. So when we have knee pain, our quads, depends what kind of knee injury it is or what kind of knee pain, but our quads aren't activating properly sometimes. We have less muscle mass in our quads, but it's that blood flow to the knee as well that's really good. So obviously our knee is responsible for knee flexion and knee extension, and we've found with that short range knee extension, like, it just gets so much blood flow to the quads, so much blood flow to the knees, that it just makes the knees feel so much better. But if we're walking forward, like, we're using different muscles, and we're kind of like, obviously we're bending our knee with the knee flexion, but we're not really using our knee. We're using the structure in the back of the knee, but we're not using the front of our knee at all. So if we've got like something like patella issues or quad issues or anything like inside that knee, then it's going to be better to start walking backwards. And this has been passed down through wisdom from Chinese people for years and years and years. Like, if you go to China, like, they'll just have their elderly people walk around China backwards, because it can help prevent arthritis in the knee, can just make our knees way healthier. The other thing that they'll do is then sit a deep squat, but obviously if you've got knee pain, you might not be able to get there that's more of a preventative thing, and we can build to that in the future. But this backwards walking, one, the Chinese people do it and they've got the healthiest knees, they've got the least amount of knee surgeries. Two, it's then an effective screening practice for falling in elderly people. And then three, it's just that blood flow, and it's just that step count. So you're going to be burning calories, burning weight, and you can start to strip that body fat. But as well as you're getting your cardio in, you're actually increasing your knee strength at the same time. If you look at the position, your knee is over your toe when you take a backward step. It's forced into that position. And a lot of knee injuries, especially in the West, have come from this dogmatic viewpoint of no knees over toes, or not strengthening the knees. And if we don't put our knees over toes, that's a recipe of disaster for our patella tendons, for our Achilles tendons, and then this is the lowest level of strengthening them. And you can literally recover from it in a few hours, because it's short range concentric. The eccentric is the way down, and we're bypassing that by pulling us up with the hamstrings, and then we're just getting that concentric. So that means the tissues aren't breaking down as much as something in a step up, for example, or a split squat where we're getting that eccentric load. That's going to be where the tissues break down more. So you can literally backwards walk 2-3 times a day, maybe even a little bit more depending on your thing. And it's just going to provide good blood flow to the knee and actually strengthen that knee in that knees over toes position, which there is more pressure on the knee when your knee does go over your toe. But we want to build from less knees over toes to something more intense, to something more intense, to something more intense. Like, that's the route we want to go with it. And that backwards walking, that stimulation every day is just so good. And even now, like, obviously the deep knee bends are the thing that's going to cause more adaptation and more long-term benefits. But I'm walking backwards all the time, warming up for my exercises. I'm hitting the sled. In the morning, I'll literally go for a walk. I'll do half of it forward, half of it backwards. We're just rolling. The stronger you get backwards, the better your knees are going to be. And I was thinking about this in football yesterday. I played football yesterday. As a defender, I'm constantly backpedaling. Like, you'll see defenders switch round and then sprint. And, like, for example, ball's getting played over the top. You can go sideways like this, and you can keep your eye on the ball, and you can keep your eye on the defender. That's really a good way to go. If you go that way, then yeah, you can beat the defender, but you can't see the ball at all. But But if I'm going backwards and I'm faster than this guy running forwards, and it depends on the person. Like sometimes I will have to turn, but if I'm backwards, I can then turn this way if the ball goes that way, and I can turn that way. I've got my eyes on the ball, and I've still got my man in view if he's here. I'm pedaling backwards like this, and I'm thinking about this when I'm playing because obviously we're big on this stuff. And I was just thinking, my knees are actually getting healthier. I'm getting more blood flow in my knee as the game's going on and on and on. I'm looking at other people as well and how they defend. Like, no one's doing the backwards as much as I am, and my knees are feeling great. I tell you that. So that's 4 points there. 1, rope. 2, juggling. 3, upper body training, relative strength. 4, backwards. If you start implementing those things, if you have knee injury and you can't do your proper training yet, then yeah, life's going to be much better. Your brain's going to feel better. A few things to keep your mental health good is going to be that. 1, keep the exercise up. 2, keep your diet in check. And then 3, keep your social circle in check. If you don't lose those 3 things when you're going through something like a knee injury, you're going to be doing so much better than the majority of people are, because the majority of people that do just crumble. They let everything start going wrong. One negative leads to another negative, leads to another negative. But it's the same the other way. If you create a small positive with the rope, or a small positive with the backwards walking in the morning, start off your day with backwards walking, you're doing better than the majority of people are. Majority of people are waking up, scrolling their phone, staying in bed. Yeah, your life's going to be better. So keep the positives going, keep it rolling, and then build that momentum. And then once we can get into more intense knee training, that's what we'll do. But yeah, I hope this helps. I'm gonna go do some more skill training. Might even play some football. Just have some fun. Cheers for watching.